challenge you to point out a single verse in the Bible, a single unequivocal verse from the Bible, a single unambiguous verse in which Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, himself says that I am God, or where he says worship me and I'm ready to accept Christianity.
Jesus is God? You want to show it to me in the Bible? Show it to me in the Bible. You don't have it in the Bible because it's not in the Bible.
Saya masuk Islam
Ya, setelah masuk
karena
Islam.
saya cinta sama Yesus. Yesus itu pas saya baca di Alkitab, dia bukan Tuhan, dia nabi dan rasul. Dia nabi dan rasul, Bu, bukan Tuhan.
Iya.
Terus habis itu saya kecintaan sama Yesus Kristus. Yesus suruh saya beriman kepada Rasulullah, Nabi Muhammad, nabi yang terakhir. Bahkan semua rasul itu agamanya itu Islam, semua nabi dan
You do find Jesus calling himself God in the Gospel of John, or the last Gospel. Jesus says things like, "Before Abraham was, I am. I and the Father are one. And if you've seen me, you've seen the Father." These are all statements you find only in the Gospel of John. And that's striking because we have earlier Gospels and the writings of Paul, and in none of them is there any indication that Jesus says such things. Jesus says he is the door. In John 10:9, Jesus says, "I am the door. If anyone enters through me, he will be saved, and will go in and find pasture." This means Jesus is the only way by which we can follow God. He is the only way of salvation. There are not many doors to heaven. The first chapter of John introduces Jesus as the Word, from the Greek logos. This chapter clearly describes Jesus as identical to God. After this prologue, the chapter describes Jesus recruiting the first of his disciples, as well as a conversation between John the Baptist and the Pharisees. We understand the meaning of significance in John 1:1. We learn that Jesus is always with God and his Son. In John 1, verse 2 to 5, NIV continues, speaking deeper into the meaning of this reality with the idea that Jesus is the Word. Through him all things are made. Without him nothing was made. Light of the world. Then Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. John 8, verse 12. Jesus uttered these words to a group that witnessed an incredible scene. Teaching him in the temple, a woman caught in adultery is brought to Jesus. As the accusers tempted to trick Jesus by asking if he thought the woman should be stoned, Jesus mutely wrote in the sand. The accusers evaporated, and the embarrassed woman was set free with forgiveness and the admonition to turn away from the darkness. Now, turning to the remaining assembled people, Jesus tells them that he is the light of the world. Jesus, as the light of the world, offers a choice between the darkness of sin and the glistening light of a life in his presence. The first sign of John complements the theme of newness found throughout the book's opening chapters. Jesus turning water into wine reveals him as a source of life and inspires his newly called disciples to put their faith in him as the Messiah. The second sign illustrates Christ's mastery over distances. When a nobleman approaches Jesus in Galilee, pleading for him to heal a sick son, Jesus sends him away, saying, Go, your son will live. The third sign shows Jesus to be the bread of life. After feeding a crowd of 5,000 with no more than barely five loaves of bread and 2 fish, and somehow managing to fill 12 baskets with leftovers.
One example of doubt regarding God, Jesus being God in flesh, comes from Thomas, one of the 12 disciples of Jesus, also known as Doubting Thomas. After Jesus' resurrection, Thomas expressed skepticism about Jesus' appearance to the other disciples. However, when Jesus appeared to him and invited him to touch his wounds, Thomas declared, My Lord and my God.
Now I have a couple of favorite verses that come right here before the Great Commission. The background of these verses is significant. Jesus is about to send the disciples out on a mission as his emissary to the entire world. It's a big moment to say the least. There are the last words John the Baptist, and the list goes on. They were all doubters. Even Jesus' family thought he was crazy. All the disciples ran away in doubt. Not just Thomas, a dump truck full of doubters. God doesn't give up on any of them, and obviously God says doubters are welcome here. God didn't ask people to pretend and try to manufacture certainty. He accepted them where they were and asked them to be faithful and step forward through the doubt and in the doubt.
Concludes that not only Jesus is God, but proves he is God through the signs and miracles and how he tells his word to others. That ends the video here. Thank you for watching, and subscribe to get a cookie, or I'll be in your bed tonight. See you.